Hi, Melanie Muenchinger here, illustrator for Gina K Designs. Today I have a new project for you featuring one of the sets in my frame series, Fun Year Round. This was also featured in my Fabulous Stamp Frames book, many examples with the Fun Year Round set. It contains a frame that is A2 size that can be used in portrait or landscape style in 4 different orientations on your card, plus lots of round elements and greetings that can be 2-step stamped in lots of fun colors, as well as done with many fun techniques to create a really cool graphic look on your cards. For today's project, I am actually going to be pairing this with my A Year of Flowers 2 set. This is just like A Year of Flowers, that it has all occasion flowers and greetings in a line art style, and it works really well with all of these different graphic elements. Going to show you how you can do a simpler version of this card, so we're going to work in stages, how you can just stamp this in 2-step with lots of different inks for a clean graphic look. If you want to step it up by adding some coloring with your markers to create a more layered look, and then finally if you want to add more images over these circles just to give it more dimension and interest, as well as mix in your other stamp sets. In addition to these 2 stamp sets, you will need a large block for that frame, and then some smaller blocks for the smaller images that you stamp. Got some adhesive and some foam squares for layering on the flower, scissors for cutting it out, several pads I'm using today. You don't have to use this many in your design. I just want to show you a lot of different color options from our Gina K palette. I've got the sweet corn, the prickly pear, the honey mustard, the dark chocolate, and finally the fresh asparagus. Cardstock, I have got an A2 size card. This is 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4. This is the dark chocolate. And then we've got some of the Gina K Ivory, and this mat is 4 by 5 1/4 inches. I love to use this one for this particular frame because it leaves you a nice border around the edge, and then I just have a scrap for that daisy that I'm stamping. So let's begin by stamping the frame. Oh, also some markers. Let me show you real quick. I've got the GB4, the EB3, the CG2, and the GB6, and the DG3. I might end up layering on a few other colors, but this is really all you need for this particular card. Okay, so let's begin by stamping the frame in the dark chocolate. So I'm just going to go all over. And I'm just going to tip that to the light to make sure it all looks wet and shiny, that I got all of those corners. And this is a rubber set, so I've got one of these lines lined up with the line on the frame. And so then I'm just going to hover over the mat so that I see about the same amount of cardstock all the way around, and then drop it. So as long as these lines are running parallel to the cardstock, you're going to have an image that's lined up as well. Okay? Now, let's go ahead and do a little stamping on here. I'm going to grab some of those lighter colors, and I'm going to bring over all these different little stamps. So this is a rubber set, and you have large and small pieces that match, so these look really good together when you nest them together or when you use the coordinating image. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So I like to stamp them in odd numbers, and then also to have the different colors bounce around the frame. So I might do, let's say, this image here, maybe up here, and then down here. Okay, now I'm going to do a different color. Let's do, what do I want to do? Do this green. I'm going to put this here and we can see where we're going, but I don't want to do it the same every time. Now here is a smaller version of that sunburst, so I'm going to do this in the green, and I'm going to place this in the smaller circles. Doesn't have to be perfectly centered. Looks a little bit more whimsical when you go off to the side. Okay, this is great for masculine cards too. It's so easy. Now let's go ahead and add the bold flower in the honey mustard, or excuse me, the corn, sweet corn. Where is the flower? The little flower. Here we go. So I'm going to do the honey mustard, or the sweet corn, excuse me. Here, up here, here. And I'm just going to tuck that one right into there. Okay, just lots of different options that you can do here. Okay, now, since I did want to add this flower, let's go ahead and stamp this out, and then I can figure out where I want to place the rest of my images. So I'm going to stamp this in the dark chocolate. And these flowers are so easy to color. You don't have to color right to the edge, and because it's a sketchy look, you don't have to blend them quite as much. So I'm going to use the chisel tip, since this is a big flower, and just scribble this in, just kind of making loops. So getting most of it, but having a little bit of the cardstock show through. And then I'm going to take the GB6, and I'm just going to add just a few little strokes just to give some depth there to the center, and to tie in that mustard stamping that I did. And if you want a more blended look, you can definitely do that, or do the tip-to-tip coloring. But I like it to be a little bit more separated like this. Then I'm going to take the EB3 and swirl that into the middle, and then color in those little circles. And then I'm going to add just a little bit of this CG2. I love to add just kind of a spring green even on the petals of my flowers, and this really makes it come alive and ties in the leaves that you add. Okay, now let's cut this out, and then I'm going to stamp my leaves over the grid. Now if you don't like the intersecting lines, then you can mask them, but today I'm just going to stamp them right over the circles. So I really like using different round flowers with this set, because I just like how a round flower is echoed in all the circles in the design. Something else that would be fun, but I'm not doing today, to stamp those cute little animals from the new Stamp TV kit, Autumn Wishes, into these different circles. That's something that I want to try next. Okay, so this is going to layer right on, but let's add a few leaves just so that it can pop and you can have some greenery. But I'm going to lay this on here so that I know where to put my greeting, so that stands out, and then I'll know where to put my leaves. So I'm going to put the for you right here, and then let's just do a couple leaves. Let's see, it just comes together so quickly. And maybe just one right here, just for a little more green. Okay, so let's color that in. And I kind of got ahead of myself. I said that I was going to color in, show you how to color this frame, so we'll do that in just a second. And I'm going to need a refill for this marker soon, because I use it on so many leaves. When you hear it scratching like that, it's definitely running low. So you can switch the chisel tip, because I don't use that one quite as much on this. There we go. So there's a lot more ink on that side. And then I'm going to do just a little bit of tip to tip with this darker green to bring out some of the detail in those leaves. Oh, I'm sorry, I grabbed the wrong one. Okay, so remember I said put the lighter marker in your coloring hand so you don't make that mistake. Okay, let me fill that in a little bit. Trace that. Down a little more of that green. Okay. All right, now I am going to add some color around this border. So rather than having to add a layer of jelly bean green cardstock, I can just go right around the edge here with my chisel tip. And so just carefully, just starting from one end and using that line as a guide, going around. You can do this with water-based markers as well, but alcohol just makes it so easy because it all blends together and it really looks solid like a piece of cardstock. So now you've instantly added another layer to your card. And then if you want to, you can take, I'm going to take this GB6, and I'm going to go in and make it look like I have a layer behind all of these circles. So this takes a little bit more time, but I just want to show you how you can step up the look. And you'll want to definitely use the brush or bullet tip of your markers to get into these tight areas here. Another thing that you can do if you don't want to fill in this whole area is just trace under the underside of these circles like that, and it starts looking like they are dimensional and standing out. But since I already started, I'm just going to color the whole thing. Another really fun embellishment to use with this frame is buttons, or even the new Gina K button die plate for adding cardstock buttons over these circles or to the centers of these images. And I might add a little bit more right before we finish here. Almost done. But it's just so nice to be able to add a virtual layer like this with any color marker you have and not have to use the cardstock and adhesive and bulk up your card and add weight to it. Just a tiny bit in here and here. Okay. And so then I would just pop this up over the frame. And then maybe add just a couple little chocolate accents here just to tie in my stamping and my coloring a little bit more. Just falling off the block. Dark one there. Yeah, that really pops. I like that. And then maybe one up here. So it's just like an explosion of flowers. And then you'll take your adhesive. So you can see I use the layering weight, so that does come through the cardstock. Layer that right on. And so you basically have just 1, 2, 3 layers, but it looks like so much more, and you haven't added any embellishments. But by all means, a little button, that would be fun there too. I hope you enjoyed this project and it gives you lots of ideas for the Fun Year-Round set and A Year of Flowers too. Please visit my blog, Hands, Head, and Heart, and visit us on Stamp TV and Gina K Designs for more ideas and inspiration. Thank you for watching today. God bless.